Larry Caputo reveals the reasons behind the dissolution of his marriage with Theresa. Larry Caputo, the former spouse of Long Island medium Theresa Caputo, has publicly disclosed the reasons for the dissolution of their long-term marriage. During an interview, Larry stated, "Theresa is an admirable individual. However, there were aspects of our relationship that I could not tolerate. Primarily, Theresa maintained numerous close male friendships, which made me uncomfortable. I value trust, yet I believe certain boundaries are essential." He stated, "He frequently departed without informing me of his whereabouts. I would remain at home, contemplating his location and anticipated return. This engendered a profound sense of loneliness within me." Nonetheless, Larry emphasized that their parting resulted from numerous minor grievances, faults, and emotional distance rather than a singular cause. "I have never taken a rash decision. Despite numerous attempts to salvage the relationship, I ultimately concluded that our mutual understanding had diminished significantly. I determined that, at times, tranquility is more valuable than love." The sun set over the Long Island beachfront, illuminating the tranquil waves with golden tones. Larry Caputo sat solitary on a dilapidated bench outside his beachside condominium. A gentle breeze stirred the pages of a leather-bound journal he had not opened in months, until now. Over a year had elapsed since his divorce from Theresa. Invariably, others inquired about the reasons for the dissolution. The reality was complex, as it often is. "I recall the initial moment I beheld her," Larry murmured to himself, seeing the incoming tide. "She illuminated the space. She possessed the ability to converse with the deceased, yet paradoxically made me feel more vivacious than anyone ever had." However, with time, that illumination diminished. Theresa positioned herself at the entrance to the living room, phone in hand, chuckling. "Who was that?" Larry inquired, attempting to appear nonchalant. "Oh, merely Tony. He is the son of one of my clients. He inquired if I could convey a message to his mother from his father." Larry feigned a smile. Tony, Mark, Dan. The list appeared interminable. Theresa's network of male acquaintances, predominantly clients, frequently obscured professional boundaries. Initially, Larry comprehended this. It was her vocation, her talent. However, as time progressed, it began to feel less like a professional obligation and more like a camaraderie from which he was excluded. She consistently asserted, "You have no cause for concern," Larry reminisced. However, my apprehension was not regarding treachery. It was the fear of being overlooked. Being wed to a medium entailed sharing her with the public. Admirers, producers, cameras, even the spirits appeared to receive more of her focus than he did. She would embark on excursions for days with no notice. On one occasion, she vanished to a client's residence in Jersey for 2 days, neglecting to leave a message. "I was uncertain about her well-being," Larry recalled. "I sent texts and made calls. No response. Upon her return, she dismissed it with laughter. 'Babe, I was working.'" He never questioned her allegiance. Nonetheless, the persistent emotional detachment rendered him feeling invisible. One evening, following a notably intense dispute on her recent excursion, Theresa ultimately lost her composure. "You fail to comprehend the burden of this gift," she exclaimed. "I cannot simply deactivate it like a light. Individuals depend on me." "And what of me, Theresa?" Larry responded, his voice trembling. "Am I not in need of you as well?" The ensuing silence was overwhelming. That night, Larry occupied the guest room. Subsequently, he did so for the following night and the one thereafter. Larry shut his journal and gazed at the darkened sky. It was not a singular altercation. It was not merely one companion. It was a multitude of minor fissures in the barrier we constructed collectively, he remarked to an empty space. He rose and ambled toward the coastline. "I will always cherish her. However, I required tranquility. I needed to feel acknowledged once more." Theresa had progressed, as had he. However, occasionally, when the wind blew favorably, Larry insisted he could still perceive her laughing in the distance, not from the afterlife, as she did, but from a former existence they both shared, boisterous, chaotic, fervent and authentic. Nevertheless, on a brisk October morning in Long Island, Theresa Caputo braced herself for a reading that would profoundly impact her. As the Long Island medium, she had linked countless individuals with their deceased loved ones, yet today felt distinctly unusual. A quiet woman named Marissa Trent awaited in the lobby, modestly attired and clutching a small locket. Her hollow eyes reflected a profound sorrow, characteristic of a mother mourning her child. Theresa welcomed her softly, leading her into the inviting reading room, where flickering candles illuminated the walls with warm shadows. "I typically do not engage in this behavior," Marissa murmured. "I have attempted to coexist with it. However, I persistently experience these dreams as if she is attempting to convey a message." Theresa acquiesced. "Occasionally, spirits possess unresolved matters. Let us observe who manifests." Upon closing her eyes and extending her consciousness to the other side, the atmosphere of the room abruptly transformed. A chill permeated the air. Theresa inhaled deeply. "I am acquiring a young girl," she stated gently. "She claims her name is Emily. She is your daughter, correct?" Marissa inhaled sharply. "Yes, Emily. My child." She presents a red scarf, asserting that she wore it that evening. She claims she was reluctant to attend, but he compelled her. Marissa wept profusely. Her boyfriend, Tyler. The consensus was that it was an accident, a robbery that had gone awry. Theresa's expression hardened. Emily asserts, no, it was not arbitrary. She is depicting a field.
Soil. Distress.
He lost command. He did not intend to, but when she attempted to flee, he restrained her. Marissa trembled. The police uncovered no evidence. No charges were filed. I have always sensed, deep within, that he was deceitful. She asserts that she resisted. She inflicted scratches upon him with her right hand, resulting in a scar. He informed the police that it was caused by his dog, yet she contends he is being deceitful. Additionally, there is another matter. Theresa hesitated. A mobile device, her previous phone. She claims it remains in the vehicle, concealed beneath the passenger seat. There exists a voice recording. She states she activated it during the altercation. Marissa's eyes expanded in astonishment. Her previous phone was never retrieved. Theresa awakened, panting. Emily seeks justice. She wishes you to understand that she is at peace now, alongside your mother. She conveys, inform Mom that I never held her responsible. My love for her is immense. I desire her strength for both of us. 2 weeks later, following Theresa's guidance, Marissa persuaded the police to reinvestigate the case. Armed with a court order, they confiscated Tyler's vehicle and discovered the phone, precisely where Emily had indicated. The recording was unsettling yet distinct. It documented the onset of the altercation, Emily pleading for release, and Tyler's voice exhibiting a moment of fury. He was apprehended that very night. Months later, Marissa approached Theresa, not in search of answers, but to express appreciation. Thanks to you, Emily regained her voice. Justice has ultimately prevailed for her. Theresa smiled while gently grasping Marissa's hand. She exhibited courage. I merely conveyed the message. In a realm of illumination and tranquility, Emily also smiled, liberated at last and finally acknowledged. Nevertheless, the day was intended to be a routine filming session for Long Island Medium. The production team had established their setup at a quaint residence in upstate New York, where Theresa Caputo was to engage with a bereaved mother mourning her teenage son, who had perished in a tragic accident. As customary, the cameras were operational, the lighting meticulously calibrated, and Theresa arrived in her characteristic high heels and voluminous blonde hair, prepared to connect with the spirit realm. Among the crew was Jake, a 34-year-old cameraman with a subdued demeanor. He had participated in numerous episodes and witnessed myriad readings, some startling, others uplifting, but he consistently maintained an emotional detachment behind the camera. That day, however, an unforeseen event was poised to penetrate his meticulously constructed emotional defenses. As Theresa commenced her session with the bereaved mother, she abruptly halted. She glanced upward, perplexed, and remarked, "I apologize, this is an uncommon occurrence, but an individual is approaching who is not present for the woman I am addressing. He is here for someone off camera." The room fell silent. Jake shifted anxiously, attempting to concentrate on a shot. Theresa gradually directed her attention to him. "Jake, would you object if I express something to you?" Jake blinked, astonished. "Me? Indeed. A young woman is approaching, identifying herself as Emily. She died unexpectedly, related to a vehicular accident. She is presenting sunflowers and a silver bracelet." Jake's hands quivered. The camera skewed. Emily was his high school paramour. They had been in a relationship for 5 years and intended to cohabit when calamity occurred. She perished in a vehicular accident merely 2 weeks prior to her college graduation. Jake had never mentioned her at work, having suppressed that anguish profoundly. "She asserts that you have never absolved yourself for failing to answer the phone that evening," Theresa added softly. "However, she wishes for you to understand that it was not your responsibility. She conveys that she was aware of your affection for her, and she continues to feel it." Tears brimmed in Jake's eyes. His body quaked as years of sorrow erupted. The camera fell from his shoulder, narrowly saved by a close assistant. Theresa's tone became gentle. "She presents a photograph, the two of you at the lake, her adorned in a blue dress, you donning that absurd sun hat. She claims that was the most joyous day of her life." Jake inhaled sharply. That photograph had been concealed in a box beneath his bed. It had not been viewed for years. I never subscribed to any of this," Jake murmured, wiping his face with his sleeve. "However, there's no conceivable way you could have known that." Theresa extended her hand, softly resting it on his shoulder. Occasionally, the spirit awaits the opportune moment. Today, she opted to communicate. The room was motionless, but for the subdued cries of the cameraman. The remaining crew members stood in silence, many visibly affected and in tears. The program was never broadcast. In deference to Jake, the footage was preserved and not made public. However, the narrative circulated among the crew rapidly, evolving into a whispered legend inside the realm of reality television, a moment when the medium revealed the essence behind the camera. Jake subsequently acknowledged that the reading transformed his life. He re-established contact with Emily's family, visited her cemetery for the first time in years, and commenced the healing process. He never questioned Theresa Caputo again. Theresa merely smiled, as is her custom, and remarked, "Spirit knows its destination." Nevertheless, had someone informed me a decade ago that cohabiting with a renowned medium would resemble residing with a mobile conduit to the spiritual realm, I would have likely laughed. Nevertheless, that is my reality. I am Larry Caputo Jr., and my mother, Theresa Caputo, is the Long Island medium. When individuals inquire, "What is it like to coexist with a medium?" I typically respond, "Noisy, emotional, and occasionally profoundly eerie." However, in truth, it encompasses a journey of love, healing, and the inexplicable. One morning, while consuming my customary eggs and toast at the kitchen counter, my mother abruptly halted, her coffee mug suspended in the air. Her eyes opened in astonishment. "Oh my God, Larry," she exclaimed, "there's a man positioned behind you. He identifies himself as Frank and claims to have died in 1973. He is wielding a wrench. Was there a mechanic in your apartment building?" "Mother, I implore you. I have just awakened." However, I refrained from disputing. She inscribed a name in her notepad and commenced preparations to see the building manager to convey the message. That was breakfast with my mother, where omelets and ghost stories are inextricably linked. Upon initiating my relationship with my girlfriend, Rachel, I cautioned her, "Be advised, my mother may divulge information regarding your great-grandmother during dessert." Rachel laughed, until one evening, at dinner, Mother gazed across the table and remarked, "Rachel, your grandmother wishes to inform you that she was present when you discovered the antiquated diary in the attic. She affirms that you made the correct decision not to discard it." Rachel's fork fell. She turned ashen. "I never disclosed that to anyone." Thus, another adherent emerged. Residing with my mother necessitated preparedness for spontaneous readings at any time. On one occasion, I returned late from a gathering, attempting to enter quietly to avoid disturbing her. However, when I traversed the living room, I discovered her seated cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by lit candles, with a woman weeping before her. "I am assisting her in establishing a connection with her father," Mother remarked nonchalantly, as if discussing aiding a neighbor with their shopping. I gestured uncomfortably. "Very well. I shall retire for the night." Notwithstanding the apparitions and the sorrow, at her essence, Mother is an ordinary parent who concurrently communicates with the deceased. She continues to inquire about my meals, admonishes me for neglecting washing in the machine, and indeed, she still weeps whenever I depart for a journey. However, it is challenging to escape when your mother can detect your deceit, even if the informant is your late grandfather, Sal. Recently, I experienced a night of anxiety regarding a new work chance. I refrained from confiding in anybody, including my mother. However, she unexpectedly came on my door and gently stated, "Your father appeared to me in a dream last night. He instructed me to convey to you. Do not be afraid. You are capable." I gazed at her, astonished. I did not utter a word. She grinned, embraced me, and remarked, "You need not have." Coexisting with a medium ensures that your residence is perpetually animated, as spirits disregard temporal constraints. It signifies a life replete with narratives of healing, resolution, and love transcending the corporeal realm. Most significantly, residing with Theresa Caputo envelopes you in a unique enchantment, occasionally poignant, frequently exquisite, and invariably indelible. Although I may never completely comprehend her methods, I am certain of one thing. Nonetheless, what was anticipated to be an ordinary day for Long Island medium Theresa Caputo, another meeting, another spirit reading, turned into an unexpected emotional tumult on that brisk autumn morning. Theresa had just completed the arrangement in her inviting Long Island reading room. The customary white candles flickered gently, and the aroma of sage still permeated the atmosphere. Her client for the day, a woman named Gina, was slated for a private session. What Theresa did not anticipate was that Gina was not a stranger. She was one of Theresa's oldest childhood friends, whom she had not encountered in over a decade. Upon Gina's entrance, she appeared more slender and delicate, yet her pleasant smile remained same. Theresa screamed in astonishment and rushed to embrace her. "Oh my God, Gina! What brings you here?" Theresa inquired, clutching her friend tightly. "I required a conversation with you," Gina stated gently. "Not solely as a medium, but as a confidant." Upon sitting, Theresa instantly sensed a change in the room's energy. Spirits were already assembling, and the ambience was notably charged. "Gina," she spoke deliberately, "would you like me to conduct a reading for you? Or is there an alternative you prefer?" Gina acquiesced. "Kindly read. I believe they have been attempting to communicate with me, and I require answers." The reading commenced, and instantly Theresa established a connection with an individual intimately linked to Gina, a grandmother who succumbed to illness, a resolute woman known for baking pies every Sunday. Tears welled in Gina's eyes. "That's Nana," she murmured. "She raised me." Theresa grasped Gina's hand firmly as she transmitted messages from the beyond. Nana's communication encompassed not only affection but also a caution, an encouragement, and a reminder for Gina to exhibit resilience. Gradually, the session evolved into a more intimate exchange. Abruptly, Theresa halted. Her voice faltered as she stated, "She informs me that you are unwell. You have an ailment, something grave, Gina." Gina acquiesced, tears cascading down her face. "It's cancer. Stage 3. I did not wish to convey this in such a manner, but I anticipated you would sense it. I required fortitude from the beyond, and from you." Theresa became immobilized. Her breath was stifled. The room momentarily whirled as she suppressed her tears. "Oh my God," she murmured. "Gina, why did you not contact me? Why did you not inform me earlier?" "I was apprehensive," Gina responded. And to be candid, I anticipated you would sense it before I articulated it. Theresa succumbed to emotion. In that instant, she transcended her role as a medium. She embodied a friend, a sister, a soul intertwined beyond lifetimes. Her typically resilient front faltered, and tears streamed down her face. "You are not alone," she asserted resolutely. "I will not merely serve as your medium. I will be your advocate." Gina grinned despite her tears. "That is precisely what I require to hear." In the subsequent days and weeks, Theresa remained by Gina's side, accompanying her to chemotherapy appointments, hospital visits, and enduring long nights filled with prayers and laughter. This experience profoundly transformed Theresa. She recognized that while she possessed the ability to communicate with the deceased, her most significant gift lay in assisting the living in maintaining hope. As always, the spirits were correct. Gina's struggle would be arduous, although she was not battling it alone. Greetings, esteemed viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Mina, and I hope your day is going splendidly. If you appreciate the video, please remember to subscribe to the channel.